Yeah, hi, this is Scott at CrossFit I-35, and I have the privilege of being doing a chat here with Alex Viada today. Alex is going to be at CrossFit I-35 the 17th and 18th of May for what we're, along with Paul Carter and Mike Israetel, doing what we're calling the dream team of strength training, endurance training, and nutrition for strength and endurance. So Alex is a pretty amazing individual. So he's got a pretty, here you are on camera, Alex, got a pretty amazing little schedule as we were talking here. So this year alone, you're competing a couple times in powerlifting. Let me say I have a half Ironman, a full Ironman, a 100-mile trail, and I guess I said a couple powerlifting meets.
Yep.
So I'm amazed with that. So you're not only just a big guy, you're a big guy that's running ultra endurance races, and something certainly our friends in the CrossFit community really want to hear. Well, how the heck can you lift big weights and then in a month or two's time or come out and run a half an Ironman or a full one actually?
Right. Yeah. No. It's it's interesting. I think I've chatted before a bit on this just recently, talking a little bit about how important efficiency, form, economy of movement is for a lot of larger lifters. It's the kind of thing where I think a lot of programming that's intended for the typical runner is geared towards people who are lighter. 150, 160 pounds for most men, 120, 130 pounds for most women, and there's only a certain amount of wear and tear that those individuals do to their bodies. And the biggest eye opener for me is realizing that I had to train completely differently. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with CrossFit endurance and the whole philosophy that don't run these long distances that are going to beat yourself up. Just focus on the short-term aerobic pathways. Well, I definitely agree. There's a big amount of merit to that, and really just kind of focusing on what's important. The important parts of aerobic training, but also a lot of time that especially larger individuals and more muscular, stronger, more powerful individuals need to spend learning efficiency, learning how their body operates over time and over distance. And it takes time, it takes practice, and over the course of this year, previous years, I spent a long time learning proper nutrition strategy, learning how to adjust my gait depending on the terrain, choosing the right shoes, being able to switch shoes at the right time, a lot of other things like that, considerations that I think a lot of people don't about make all the difference in the world. Really made the difference between, like I was saying, crapping out at 10 to 15 miles and actually being able to finish one of these races.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And one thing I'd like to just, as far as the training philosophy, and won't spend a lot of more time here today, but because we do have guys. It's very common that a person who will basically identify themselves as a runner, come into the CrossFit community, fall in love with it, and immediately kind of say their paradigm has to shift because they're really not able to run those 50, 100-mile weeks that they had been putting in. But then again, we still have that person that. I have several people in the gym right now who are training for an Olympic lifting meet, a powerlifting meet, a CrossFit competition, and are wanting to get a half marathon or a marathon in sometime this year. So it all sounds very, So what are you gonna be saying to those people?
Well, I think again, a little bit what you said. There is a slight paradigm shift. Is you can't do 50, 100-mile weeks as a strength athlete. I mean, at the end of the day, that's just. There's too much time spent in a catabolic state there. And, my philosophy, and I think a little bit of what I always talk about, is this elimination of junk miles. I mean, out of those 50 to 100 miles that I think a lot of runners do, how many of those are actually really making them that much better? If 100 miles will get them to this level, well, what if they only do 50 miles? Would that get them to this level? What if they only do 40? What if they only do 30? So the real key is finding out what are those essential workouts? What are those critical miles that they're doing? And basically just doing that, just isolating that critical workload and not exceeding that. And, I have a lot of guys, I was actually training this individual who wanted to get seriously into strength training but still wanted to qualify for Boston and ran his best marathon dropping down to just doing 3 runs a week. He was basically just doing one, speed, track, interval type workout, one sub-max tempo run, and one long distance. And he continued to drop his time and ran his best ever marathon. So I think that's the thing a lot of runners have to keep in mind is, again, cutting out the waste, cutting out the junk.
Yeah, because that's always been a lot of my experience of working with runners. Anytime you're proposing strength work, they say, well, that's the time I could be out on the road putting in some more miles.
Exactly.
So getting past that, yeah, to think that a person that runs marathons could PR in a marathon running only 3 times a week is a big shift for a lot of guys. That's an amazing thought.
Right. And, these aren't going to be the guys who finish in, 2 hours and 10 minutes. I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking about such a specialized body type that, I think a lot of these runners need to take into account, okay, I'm going to be 10 pounds heavier. I may not win the Boston Marathon, but I can certainly be extraordinarily competitive. And, that's a trade-off at the end of the day. I think it's almost more limited by body type and by, overall goals than anything else. But I think the ability to exceed expectations is certainly there.
Sure, that's awesome. So I think we'll just wrap it on that one. I think we could go for about 2 hours on this. It's pretty fascinating stuff. So we'll just save that to the 17th and 18th at CrossFit I-35. You can find, I'll put the link to the sign up at the bottom of this video and the blog post that it's on as well. And we'll see you, it looks like about a month. So
excellent.
Thanks a lot, and we look forward to hearing a lot more on this.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.